The planet of Galdar, once a peaceful and thriving world, had descended into turmoil. A rebellion had taken root, led by a faction of citizens who felt oppressed by the ruling monarchy. The Galdarian Empire, though powerful and technologically advanced, had grown increasingly isolated from its people, believing that their royal bloodline made them above all others. The rift between the monarchy and the populace had grown, and the rebellion sought to overturn centuries of royal rule. Amidst this rebellion was Princess Isolde, the only daughter of King Ilan, the ruler of Galdar. Unlike her father and the rest of her royal family, Isolde was not content with a life of luxury and privilege. She had long questioned her people's suffering and the monarchy's rigid, elitist ways. Her rebellious nature made her a symbol of defiance, and she became a leader among the rebellious forces. To her, Galdar's future lay not in maintaining the monarchy's traditions, but in breaking free from the chains of oppressive rule. The rebellion, however, was a dangerous pursuit. One fateful day, during a battle between the royal guards and the rebellion, Princess Isolde was gravely injured. She had been leading a group of rebels when she was struck by a powerful blast from the royal guard's weapons. Mortally wounded and unable to escape, Isolde was left for dead on the battlefield. By the time the battle subsided, news of the princess's condition reached the royal palace. King Ilan, desperate to keep his daughter alive for the sake of his bloodline and political control, sought out a solution. Despite his disdain for the rebellion, he knew that Isolde's death would only fuel the fire of insurrection further. Yet, the royal healers were not prepared to deal with the severity of her wounds. Desperation led the king to make an unprecedented decision. He sent for a human medic, one of the few specialists from Earth known for his advanced healing techniques. Earth had developed medical practices and technologies that were unparalleled, and King Ilan was willing to risk the fate of his daughter and his kingdom on the hope that this human could save her. Dr. Daniel Hayes, a skilled human medic, was chosen for the task. He had been sent to various planets under humanitarian missions, offering medical assistance to alien species. But when he arrived on Galdar, he had no idea of the personal stakes involved. As a neutral party, he had no allegiance to the royal family or the rebels. His mission was simple: save the life of a princess. When Dr. Hayes first laid eyes on Princess Isolde, he was taken aback by her beauty, despite the bruises and blood that marred her face. She was unconscious, her pale skin a stark contrast to the deep red blood that stained her clothing. The severity of her injuries was clear, and the royal palace healers had already done their best, but they had reached the limits of their knowledge. Only Dr. Hayes' specialized techniques had a chance of saving her. He got to work immediately. His hands moved swiftly, using advanced medical devices that were foreign to the Galdarians. He could feel the weight of the situation, the eyes of the royal family, the servants, the guards, all watching him, desperate for the princess's survival. There was little time to waste. As he worked, Dr. Hayes couldn't help but wonder what kind of woman Isolde had been before all this. The rumors about her were rife. She had been an ardent supporter of the rebellion, a strong-willed, passionate figure who had been unafraid to challenge her father's reign. But now, she was just another patient, lying helplessly on an operating table, clinging to life. After several hours of delicate work, Dr. Hayes finally stabilized her. She was still unconscious, but her vital signs were improving. The medical devices he had used worked wonders, and he could see the princess's body slowly beginning to heal. But the true test would come when she woke up. If she woke up, days passed, and Isolde finally regained consciousness. Her first instinct was to try to sit up, but a sharp pain shot through her body, and she gasped in surprise. She looked around the room, disoriented, before her gaze landed on the man who had saved her life, Dr. Daniel Hayes. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice raspy but strong. "You're safe," Dr. Hayes replied gently. "You're in the royal palace. You've been injured, but I've treated your wounds." Isolde blinked, processing his words. She knew what that meant. The rebels would think her dead, and the king would likely see her recovery as a blessing. But her mind was racing. She wasn't sure what to do next. The rebellion was still ongoing, and her survival could either be a symbol of hope or a devastating setback for her cause. As she tried to sit up again, Dr. Hayes placed a steady hand on her shoulder, urging her to stay still. "You need to rest," he said softly. "You've been through a lot. You're safe now." Isolde's eyes narrowed slightly as she looked at him. There was a wariness in her gaze, a reminder of her rebellious spirit. "I should be dead by now," she whispered, more to herself than to him. "And yet, here I am, saved by the enemy." Dr. Hayes paused for a moment. "I'm not your enemy," he said calmly, meeting her eyes. "I was sent to heal you, and I did. What you do with that is your choice." For a long while, Isolde remained silent. She knew that her recovery could be seen as a betrayal to the rebellion. Yet at the same time, she couldn't deny the part of her that appreciated this stranger's care. There was something about Dr. Hayes' sincerity, his calm and neutral demeanor, that made her question her own path. "Why did you save me?" she finally asked, her voice a little softer. Dr. Hayes thought for a moment. "Because you deserve to live. Whatever your politics, you're still a person, and no one should be left to die, especially when there's a chance to save them." Isolde was taken aback by his answer. It wasn't what she had expected, but it resonated with her. She had lived her life surrounded by conflict, driven by the belief that only the strong deserved to thrive. But Dr. Hayes' words, simple yet profound, began to challenge everything she had believed. Days later, as Isolde regained her strength, she had a moment of clarity. She realized that she could not return to the life of rebellion and violence she had known. She had been given a second chance, and with it, the opportunity to change her world from within. Perhaps instead of leading a revolution, she could lead a revolution of the mind, bringing peace to Galdar, not through force but through understanding. As a token of her gratitude, Isolde offered Dr. Hayes a reward, an influential position within her court, a title, and the promise of eternal respect. But Dr. Hayes, ever the humble medic, refused the reward. "I didn't do this for power or wealth," he said with a smile. "I did it because you're worth saving, and I believe in what you can do for this planet." In time, Princess Isolde became a ruler who sought peace rather than war, a leader who understood the value of empathy and healing. And through her journey, she learned that sometimes the greatest rewards aren't given by kings or queens, but by the very people we least expect. The Healer and the Rebellious Princess is a story of redemption, healing, and the power of compassion. It's a reminder that true strength lies in our ability to change, to rise above conflict, and to lead with kindness, qualities that no war or rebellion can ever defeat.